Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Merry Christmas one and all. It's Christmas Day, so thought I'd get that out of the way. Hope you're having fun. So I want to break down the first of many fights, of course. I mean, the Day of Reckoning in Saudi, Riyadh. It was epic, wasn't it, on Saturday? It was, a dramatic night of boxing in some ways. But the Dubois-Miller fight for me stole the show. I thought it was fantastic drama, and it really lived up to its 50-50 billing, because there were times in that fight you're thinking, oh my goodness, Dubois blowing this. He's gassing out. Is he going to quit? And you thought, is Miller, he was known for his cardio throughout his career before the ban. You thought, is he starting to overwhelm Dubois? But it's amazing, isn't it, what drugs can do for you? Because we now know the reason why Miller, of course, had ridiculous cardio for such a heavy guy was because of the drugs he was taking, the performance-enhancing drugs. Now, this is the thing. This is where people don't really understand drug taking, because it might not necessarily give you ultimate knockout power. It might not give you huge bulk and size and strength, but what it will do, it will enable you to go and go and go, train and train and train, and you don't get tired. And this is the unfair advantage, because obviously the normal human body, training sessions will start to get tired after a couple of hours, where someone's on drugs can probably go 3, 4, 5 hours, and in a fight, natural body is probably going to start to tire after round 6. Someone like Jarellmiller, who's on the PEDs, could go and go and go. And a man of his size, that wasn't natural, of course. So he got found out towards the home straight of the fight, didn't he, in this? Now he's clean. I think he got drug tested like 5 times before the fight on Saturday. So, and rightly so. So it was tentative to start off with. I felt like Miller was smart. He took the centre of the ring, and he was quite brave. I think he knew, being the bigger man, he could push Dubois back a bit. And of course, Dubois isn't really used to being pushed back, even against Usyk. He was kind of trying to lead the fight. So I wondered, and at times, Dubois looked vulnerable, didn't he? On the back of the, leaning back on the ropes, being pushed back. I thought, oh no, is he going to jack it in again? But to his immense credit, he didn't. There were times we could see Dubois was tiring, because, it was weird, wasn't it? The first, round and a half, Miller didn't throw a punch. He was just kind of in that crab, sort of Joe Frazier stance, arms in a cross almost, and just swarming forward. And I could see what he's doing. He's waiting for Dubois to burn himself out. And at times he did. But credit to Dubois, he came again. It looked like he was gassed, but then, 20 seconds afterwards, he'd get himself off the ropes. You think, thank goodness for that, and he'd throw. But then, he'd go back to sort of, circling the ring. Thought, this is good. He's jabbing and he's countering with big 1-2s. But then it's almost like he'd tire, then go back on the ropes. You're like, oh no, get off the ropes. But thank goodness, and someone called this early, that his own commentators, who I don't always agree with, they noticed from round 7, didn't they, that they noticed that Miller was tiring. And then from then on, Dubois took the centre. And as soon as he took the centre, I knew that it was game over for Miller. And from round 8, 9 and 10, he was just firing punches, wasn't he? Big combos, big punches. And Miller had no answer. And round 9 nearly got him out of there. Round 10, it was literally just a standing punch bag, wasn't he, Miller? He's a big lump. And credit to him, he's got a chin on him. He could take them punches. 330 pounds worth, But it's strange, he was smiling at Dubois, smiling at the referee, but he wasn't doing anything about it, was he? He was getting battered. And I don't care, it was 7 or 8 seconds before the fight ended. He was in big trouble. And I think he would have gone down. And I don't think at that stage Dubois would have blown it or punched himself out. I think he was pacing himself. Nothing was coming back. He was rocked. He was leaning up against the ropes. He was completely exhausted, Miller. And it was game over. So I think overall, a good performance from Dubois. He showed at times still vulnerabilities, But, you know, he had a good game plan. He was like the sniper. I like that version of Dubois, the sniper attack. You know, waiting for his chance and pouncing. And at times, you know, he showed a good jab. And he showed heart. This is the big thing. He showed heart. He didn't quit. There were times, there were uncomfortable moments there, especially with Miller leaning on him on the ropes and, you know, trying to get him to punch himself out. Especially, you know, round 4, round 5. Oh, goodness. And it looked like Miller was starting to take over. But, incredibly, Miller gassed out. Dubois didn't. Credit to him. He kept going and going. And I don't think he's totally redeemed himself from the Usyk and the Joyce fights. But it was a small step and a small victory and a huge confidence booster for Dubois. And I think he will go on from this now. He's only 25, and I think he's going to show more heart now and resilience in fights. I'd be surprised if he does quit again. I really think he's going to battle on to the end or till he gets stopped. Now, that doesn't mean his gas engine is perfect, and it doesn't mean that good fighters will see that he struggles when he's put on the back foot. I think Jarellmiller did highlight weaknesses from Dubois, but ultimately that fight brought some strengths out. It shows that he's still holding power late on in a fight. He was still punching hard, wasn't he? He was still rocking Jarellmiller in round 9, round 10 of a physical fight. He didn't quit. He could sustain pressure. He could hold in the clinch. He could jab. He could move at times. He's just got to be more consistent. I think at times Dubois switches off and he struggles to do something for 3 minutes a round. Like, he's very good for doing it for like a minute or a minute and a half, but then he resorts back to, what are you doing? Going back to the ropes. So he just needs to be careful of that. He needs to stay at the centre of the ring or circle like the sniper that he did on Saturday. But he's got to sustain that for all 3 minutes, not just a minute or minute and a half. But overall, I'd give Dubois a strong 7.5 for that fight, and I think there were a lot of positives. And obviously Frank Warren, let's make no mistake about it, pretending he's best friends with Dubois at the end of the fight. Had he lost that fight, had he quit, Frank Warren would have been given these P45 papers. So let's not get too carried away, but you could tell the way Warren ran into that ring, beaming. He knew that was a big win. Miller was undefeated, and whether or not he's a drugs cheat or not, he's still a big name. He's a big personality, and that will definitely put Dubois on the map in the boxing world. And, you know, in the world, obviously the rankings, he's going to be top 5 again, probably, for all them fights. As crazy as he is, Miller still holds a high ranking with the governing body. So he's probably top 5, top 6 now. So, you know, I'd like him to have 1 or 2 more fights before trying to challenge again for a title. Maybe Alanius or, you know, someone who's going to give him awkward but without being, you know, untouchable. Or even a Wallin. Wallin was poor, wasn't he, on Saturday night? So I'd like that for Dubois. You know, them kind of fringe world levels before, you know, really taking on the big boys, because I don't think Dubois is ready for that yet. But, yeah, big win. Good win. Warren was happy. I think most people are happy with Dubois. Like I say, solid performance. There were some weaknesses there, but I think that he'll grow from that now. He'll get more confident. And like I say, I think with his confidence, he'll have resilience now as well. And I'll be very, very surprised if he quits. As for Miller, well, he's 35. He's just been knocked out. It's difficult, isn't it, to see where he goes from here. He wants to carry on. He's going to have to rebuild. But, you know, he can't be too big rebuilding, can he? I think maybe he should take on a Zhang or a Joyce. Maybe a Joyce would be a good fight for him. I would want to see Dubois fighting Parker right now. I think Parker's got too much for Dubois. But Miller needs to probably go on with someone who just lost themselves, but he's top notch. Like a Joyce would be a good match. Or even a Helenius again. Or a Huey Fury, something like that. He needs to rebuild with, but he can't go to the bottom of the barrel because he's 35. He's got to get a move on. So it's hard for Jarrell. He's going to rebuild, but he needs to get a move on. But that was a big dent, wasn't it, in his world title shots, in his world title hopes, especially at his age. It's hard for him to see him lose. He needs to lose about 20 pounds. Whether or not he's going to do that, I don't think he has got the will or desire. So it's going to be a tough ask for him to get back to the top of the food chain. But we'll see. He's a big lump. He's awkward. He's difficult. Maybe if he rebuilds up 2 or 3 wins and he can lose a bit of that weight, you know, still come in 300, but he doesn't need to come in 330, does he? That's too heavy. If he's 305, you know, he's still bigger than everyone else, isn't he? But yeah, like I say, rebuilding time for him. But exciting times for Dubois now. He's going to push on, and I'd like to see him have 1 or 2 more fights, good fights, before trying to challenge world honours again. But it's a big rebuilding fight that, and congratulations, Dubois. He moves on. Miller, well, he's got to take a few steps back, hasn't he? And he's got to go again. But I think he's got one more shot, a redemption. I just hope he doesn't try drugs again, because if he does, he's not only is his career over, he's probably looking at a criminal record, isn't he? So, time will tell. But for Dubois, big win. And at 25, he's still got a big future. Congratulations.